Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and happy first day of fall. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited. I know. I've been saying that I wasn't ready for the last several weeks, but now that fall is officially here, I'm okay with it. I'm ready to embrace the season. I have my leaves candle I just picked up from Bath & Body Works. I've been waiting to burn it because to me, leaves is like the quintessential early fall scent. So in celebration of the season, I thought it might be fun to talk about fall makeup, some of the things that I'm most excited to bust back out of my collection. Now, I don't believe that you have to change your makeup with the seasons or that you could only wear certain colors at certain times of the year. You do you, whatever makes you feel good. I'm not gonna judge. I personally just like the fun of associating certain color palettes with certain times of year. It gets me excited to use those things. It's almost like if I could drink pumpkin coffee from Dunkin' the whole year round, I don't think I would enjoy it as much because it would lose some of the novelty. So I think by saving certain colors for certain times of year, I don't get bored with them and then I get excited when that time comes. So I pulled a few different things out of my collection to share with you guys today. Some of these are old, some of them are new, but ultimately I don't want the point of this video to be recommending these specific products. I want it to more be about the types of colors and textures that I'm specifically excited by at this time of year. So if you don't have these things, maybe you have something very similar in your collection. Honestly, at this point, I feel like we've seen it all in makeup. So I am sure that you have some palettes sitting around somewhere or some lip products sitting around somewhere that might be similar to these. And I would love to hear what you guys have in your collection because you may also inspire somebody else who has what you have that I don't have. So with all of that being said, we've got lots of fun things to talk about today. So let's get into some fall makeup favorites. So I think one of the most obvious and fun places to switch up your makeup for the season is in your eyeshadow. So many of us have some very specific color palettes in mind when we think of fall eyeshadows especially. And for me, I love olive greens, I love plums, I love rust tones. I like all of those really earthy colors at this time of year. So today, for example, I'm actually wearing the Dose of Colors Friendcation palette because they have this shade Dirty Money in here, which is the most gorgeous, shimmery, dirty olive green color, and I think it just looks so stunning on the lids. And it's funny because I don't think many people would look at this palette and immediately think of it as a fall palette, probably because of this pop of really bright blue in here. But if you cover up these two shades, you basically have a warm brown and green and cranberry color palette that is very, very fall. So I'm actually really excited to use this in the next couple of months because I really haven't been reaching for it enough lately, and it truly is a beautiful palette. The glitters in here especially are so light reflective and dimensional on the eyes. I really enjoy wearing them. So if you have this one in here and you've been itching to wear even the cranberry in here is really pretty, but so if you've been wanting an olivey green or a cranberry, don't forget, you've got them in this palette. To that point, another palette that I don't think a lot of people think of as fall makeup, but definitely has some great fall tones in it, is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This guy has also a greenish kind of almost gray green kind of color in here. It's called Bless Her Heart. There's also this really, really beautiful dark purple called Delectable. When I first got this palette, I swear I did a look that was basically a combination of puree and Summer Yum in the crease, Delectable on the outer corner of my eye, and then Bellini or Luscious on the lid, and that's what I did constantly. And I mean, really, this whole palette is full of a lot of warm, fallish tones to me. Maybe this is more of a transitional palette because you don't have those leaf colors, you don't have a really bright goldenrod or yellow or an orange in here or a bright red, but you do have some kind of nice warm browns and purples and greens. So this again is another really good one for, I feel creating some fun fall looks. Speaking of transitional makeup, this is a new one, but honestly, this is probably my favorite new palette that has a very fall color theme, and that is the Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This combination of colors screams fall to me. This shade Sponsored especially is such a unique duochromatic green. I love this. All over the lid with this shade like ginger in the crease and then maybe like a little bit of edges or credit in the outer corner. You could do like the simplest look that way, and yet it's so dimensional and pretty. But honestly, even if you did not have this palette, I think if you have Modern Renaissance in your collection or even Soft Glam in your collection, you've got a lot of those like warm, neutrally pumpkin spice kind of browns, and then all you would need would be like a green or a plum shade, which you might have in a different palette. So like if you have Modern Renaissance and you have this guy, you could probably create a look that has similar vibes-ish to something that you could do with this same palette and then the Sponsored shade. So of course this is nice because you have all of these beautiful shades next to one another in one singular palette, but you definitely could just take inspiration from this color story if you don't own this and you're not looking to spend more money on makeup right now. I think where I find inspiration in this palette especially is that it's saturated and rich, which gives me those fall vibes, but it also has some slightly brighter tones that you kind of associate a little bit more with summer. So for me, this feels very much like a summer transitioning into fall palette because the purples in here are not your standard sort of wine tone purples you'd see in other fall palettes. They're a little bit brighter, but I feel like it works with the rusty traditional fall tones. So yeah, this is a great palette. I feel like quality wise, it's amazing. And I love the color story in here. If you were really itching to pick it up, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. But if you aren't looking to pick it up, I think trying to recreate this color palette with eyeshadows you already have might give you some really fun looks. Now, if you want to talk about like quintessential fall colors, this palette is exactly that, and this launched last year in the fall, so some of you guys may already have it in your collection, and if you haven't used it in a while, now is the time. And that is the Karity Picante palette. This is a 27 pan eyeshadow palette, so it's pretty large, and I definitely feel like if you don't have this, you don't need this palette because these tones are fairly common nowadays. But I do really enjoy having this in my collection because as far as any shade of warm red, orange, or winey purple, this has basically got me covered. I think I'm especially excited this year to play around with some of these more warm red tones. I feel like last year when I used this palette, I was definitely leaning more towards the oranges and the golds, and I don't think I got as much use out of shades like Flamenco and Fahrenheit, but I feel like we're seeing a lot more red that's kind of a little more trendy lately. So I feel like this palette definitely still is very on trend a year later. And then my last eyeshadow palette that I feel like definitely channels fall vibes for me, that maybe some of you guys already have, is the Violet Voss HG palette. Now this is definitely a more neutral take on fall. If you are someone that doesn't like to go super colorful but still wants like a little bit of fall fun in their makeup looks, I think this is a great palette because you've got shades like this guy down here called Hashtag, which definitely is like the epitome of pumpkin spice brown. You also have this really gorgeous matte cranberry called Wine and Dine, as well as a metallic one called Cranberry Splash. Like there are some pops of color in here, but they are not really overwhelming, scary pops of color. They're pretty easy to incorporate into a look that I think you could still wear to work and not feel like you were going to get in trouble for it. I also find the formula of Violet Voss eyeshadows to generally be pretty easy to work with. It's not so overly pigmented that it's tough to blend out, so I think their shadows are really easy to create a very everyday wearable look with. You could also use them to do something more dramatic if you take the time to build them up, but I think for like the average makeup consumer, this is a really nice palette. So if you have this, maybe you want to bust it out and see what kind of fun fall looks you can create with it. Now you guys know I also really love glitter on my eyes, so I naturally had to pick out at least a couple of shimmery products to share with you. So this guy right here may be one of my absolute favorite fall appropriate liquid glitters. This is the Flower Beauty Warrior Glitter Shadow in the shade Camo. It is a really, really beautiful dark green that's got some gorgeous sparkle running throughout it. This is so pretty all over the lid. It's maybe like a tad darker than what I'm wearing on my eyes right now, but if you wanted to create like a very fall-esque smoky eye, this would be so beautiful. And while I think there are a lot of brands of really gorgeous liquid glitters out there, I don't think I've seen another brand make one in this exact color, especially at this price point. Definitely let me know in the comments down below if you've seen something else in this shade or another green liquid glitter eyeshadow out there, because I don't know. I don't know what I have, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm also really excited to bust out my Pris-Metal Chrome Eye Mousses from J.Cat, specifically these two shades right here, which are Fiery Bolt and Orange You Happy, because these to me, again, are like such fall shades. So Fiery Bolt is a gorgeous metallic cranberry, like, oh, look at that. That is so much fun. And then Orange You Glad is basically exactly as the name would suggest. It's kind of like a metallic pumpkin-y orange color. And these are honestly just some of the most beautiful cream eyeshadows out there, and they're only $6 a piece. Like, such a good deal. Now, I honestly have not used a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop in a long time, but from what I can remember, those have a stiffer consistency than these guys. These are much more soft and almost putty-like, and I find they do apply the best with your fingers or with the silicone applicator. I feel like they don't pick up super well with a brush just because of their consistency, but if you don't mind a little finger painting on your eyes, they are absolutely so stunning. So let's move away from eyes now and talk about one of my favorite products in makeup in general, which is blush. Now, when I think of fall and I think of blush, my mind immediately goes to something like mauve-y and plummy toned. I just think usually that shade of blush really complements the sort of dirtier, earthier tones that you also see a lot on the eyes at this time of year. And probably my all-time favorite mauve tone blush of life is LORAC Aura. Now, first of all, the LORAC blush formula is unbelievably beautiful. It's super silky and soft. It looks so nice on the cheeks, never clownish, never patchy. It's just really stunning. And this particular color, I think, is so gorgeous for this time of year. But if you don't have this guy, or you are looking for something a little bit more budget friendly, the E.L.F. Primer Infused Blush in the shade Always Rosy is very similar. It's maybe slightly less pigmented, but honestly, you can really build this guy up. But like, if you look at the tones of these two blushes, they're nearly identical. And then the other day I was using my Sigma blush palette, and I realized there is a really pretty mauve tone in this guy as well called Maud Mauve. So if you own this palette, you may not even realize you have a really pretty mauve blush shade already in your collection. So that is what Maud Mauve looks like swatched next to those other guys. So this one is a little bit more purple than the LORAC is, but honestly on the cheeks I feel like all three of these would look pretty much the same. But either way, I just think this color is super flattering, and I think this kind of tone would look good on just about anybody. It's really just a matter of how much you're applying. If you're super fair, because some of these blushes are a little bit darker, you want to go in very light-handed or use like a duo fiber brush. But if you had a deeper complexion, you could probably layer it up and still get that really nice kind of berryish flush to your cheeks. And then finally, let's talk about lips. There are so many fun colors that I feel like are associated with fall when it comes to lipsticks. We see a lot of berry tones, we see a lot of like really vampy dark colors, dark reds, dark plums, and dark browns. But I think for me personally, my all-time favorite thing to wear on my lips at this time of year is that like really rusty, warm, orangey red color, which is like basically kind of what I'm wearing on my lips right now. This guy in specific is one of the L'Oreal Rouge signature inks. This is in the shade Amaze, which is from their most recent like Parisian Sunset collection. And it's funny because this launched in summer, but to me this is like very much a fall color. It's just a super dark rusty orangey red, and it's such a unique shade, and I think it's super flattering if you have more warm undertones to your skin. Now I will say I actually really like this liquid lipstick formula. It is incredibly lightweight. Like, it feels like nothing on your lips. It dries down pretty matte, but it's not drying feeling at all. It just smells terrible upon application. Like, it has a very floral, baby powdery kind of scent, which I hate in lip products. Like, I don't understand how they can make lipsticks that smell like macarons and smell like chocolate, and yet they still decide to put that perfumey scent in their standard lip products. Like, it makes no sense to me. Anyway, as far as comfort goes, I really do like this lip product a lot, and I love this shade. This is really new to my collection, so I've honestly only worn it maybe once before. I've been kind of waiting for fall to arrive just because this to me was a little bit more darker and vampier than I would normally wear in the summer. But now that fall is here, you best believe I'm gonna be wearing this guy all the time. In a similar vein, this liquid lipstick from Karity, which is called Ginger Spice, super beautiful. This one is a little more, I think, on the orange side. Also, pardon my terrible swatches, because this hand is dirty. I'm trying to swatch with my left hand onto my right hand, and you can clearly tell which of these guys I'm used to using. Anyway, as you guys can see, this color is just like a little bit more vibrant, a little punchier, but it still is more rich and dark than like the type of red orange shade I would wear in the summer. Like, in the summertime, I want bold, bright, super like hot red orange lips. But in the fall, I like to like dirty it up, tone it down a little bit, and that's what I feel like this is. I also was really sad to see that ColourPop, I think, is discontinuing the shade of their Luxe lipstick. This is the color Foolish, which is basically the exact same kind of deal as the two I just showed you, but this is in a bullet lipstick form. It's also just slightly lighter, a little bit more vibrant, but to me is like the perfect fall red because it has that kind of oranginess to it. And I just love this lipstick formula. These guys are now $7.50. They raised the price slightly, but honestly, still like such a ridiculously good deal. They're ultra saturated in pigment, but they're also creamy. Like, not so much so that they're slip sliding all over the place. It's more of a satin lipstick, if anything, but it's comfortable and decently long wearing and just super nice for the price. And then this guy I actually picked up a couple of months ago, but I haven't really worn it much because, again, it was more of a fall lip to me. It wasn't something I was in the mood to wear a lot in summer. And that's one of these little Cake Pop mini lipsticks from Bakerie. I got the shade Cinnamon Churro, which again, clearly, as you can see, another dark red but kind of rusty color. And this is a really nice little lipstick formula. I was just honestly surprised by how mini these minis were. Like, I know it says mini, but dang, this is a tiny lipstick for $14. So this is what Cinnamon Churro looks like here. So this guy's a little bit more on the red side than some of these other colors. Again, I think really flattering if you have a more like yellow undertone to your skin. And the formula on this guy seems pretty nice. The color pigmentation was really good. It wasn't like dragging on the lips. It felt pretty creamy, but again, not too slip slidey and slippery, which I don't really love when I'm wearing a bold lip. So yeah, this is another one I think I'm gonna really enjoy wearing this fall. And then if you are someone that's more into like an actual red, I think this is a beautiful fall red. This is the Physicians Formula Healthy Lip Liquid Lipstick. It's one of my favorite liquid lipstick formulas of all time. These guys are $7. They are so nice for the money. They dry down pretty completely, but they're also really comfortable and not overly drying. And this shade right here is called Red-Storative Effects. So it's more of a red toned lip than like an orangey toned lip like these other guys. I swatched it right here, but it's got a little bit of almost like a berry cinnamony undertone to it, so I feel like it's just a little bit more interesting than like a fire engine red. I also find it to be a very flattering red, like just because it's a little bit deeper, I feel like it's a little less in your face, so if you're someone that's kind of intimidated by red lipstick, this is a really nice one to try. And then for those of you who want something a little more subtle, that nude is like more of your comfort zone, these bring some of these vibes to a nude. So the Beauty Crop PB&J Smoothie Sticks, these are so nice. They're just like a chunky crayon lip. They're super moisturizing, and they've got some nice pigment, but they're still kind of sheer, so your natural lip color can show through. They're not super difficult or intimidating to wear. And this shade is called Saucy Marsala. So again, it's a little bit more of a spicy nude. Like, it definitely is not a bright, vibrant color by any means, but it has just like a little bit of something something. Like, it's a really pretty color for fall. And then my all-time favorite fall nude ever is the Dose of Colors Lip It Up Satin Lipstick in the shade Cinnamon Swirl. This is actually a lip product I've repurchased because I had one, that one got old. I had to rebuy it again because I liked it that much. And this is just the most gorgeous, warm toned nude. I just love it so much. So often I feel like a lot of nudes wash me out, and this does not at all. And it's not overly warm by any means. It's just a really pretty neutral nude kind of color that's not too pink, it's not too brown, and it's just got like a slight hint of carameliness to it. Alright guys, so I think that's it for me today. Those are all the makeup products in my collection that scream fall to me, that I'm super excited to start using again. As I mentioned before, I would really love to know what you have in your collection that you're excited to wear for fall. Do you have any recommendations that are in like a similar vein to mine? Or do you have a particular color or type of product that you love to wear in fall that's like completely different from what I mentioned? I would love to hear your recommendations and what you guys are into. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, found it interesting or helpful, I hope you will consider giving it a thumbs up. I always really appreciate your support and your feedback so much. And if this was your first time here to my channel, or maybe it's your second or your third time here, but you're still not subscribed and you want to hang out with me again in the future, I hope you will click that button before you go. And on that note, I'm covered in makeup now, so I'm gonna go get myself cleaned up. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful start to your fall, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.